So apparently JD Vance doesn't understand what a court's ruling is and doesn't understand the power and authority that a judge has, because he's questioning the court's ability, the judges that stepped in to restore the SNAP benefits that many Americans desperately rely on and desperately need and are expecting. JD Vance is questioning the judge's ability to issue those orders. And we're going to talk about how now that the two federal judges stepped in to sort of save this issue and help save millions of Americans that rely on these benefits, we're talk about how Donald Trump and his administration are now signaling that they're going to ignore these judges and violate the court orders. We're going to talk about what happens when someone does that. I'm Shant Karnikian. That's Brian Kabateck over there. This is Civil Action on the Legal AF Network. If you like this content, remember, subscribe to this Legal AF channel. We do a lot of hard work here to try to bring you informative and hopefully entertaining content. And you could keep up with us by hitting that button. Share with us your feedback and your comments. Hit that like button to support us. Brian, where do we dive in with this issue? What's the latest happening right now?
Well, I think there's a couple of important things to mention. One is that Judge McConnell in the Rhode Island District Court, federal judge there, he's made a firm ruling that by the end of the day on Friday, the 7th of November, when we're recording this, that the federal government must fund completely the SNAP program. So let's use that as point number one. And point number two is JD Vance's statement, which was, he called it an absurd ruling, and then claimed that a judge did not have the right to tell the White House how to handle the situation. So correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, he went to law school.
I think a big one. Yeah, a famous one.
Accredited, like a fully accredited law school?
Fully accredited, yeah.
Called Yale.
It's a little one called Yale, yeah. So it's a real
where
law school.
Apparently he missed that day in law school where people can be told what to do by a judge.
Yeah,
right?
The judge's rulings are binding, yeah.
Right, and that there's three branches of government. I mean, we're sort of being funny here, but it's absurd. You know what I really think this signifies is this may be the first time that the administration openly defies a judicial order.
Maybe. It certainly would be the highest profile one of those instances. And it kind of goes back to what, one of the first segments we did on Legal AF, we talked about how the whole system is built on everyone following the rules and following judges' rulings. And when you start ignoring that, when you start going after judges or ignoring them, the whole thing falls apart. So that's a major problem, and it'll be a big problem if that's what they do, if they defy the court's ruling here. So what they've done is they put out a statement that says, we're reviewing the rulings. We're reviewing the rulings, and we're not going to, and they've indicated they're not going to resume the benefits until the shutdown is over. But that's basically daring the courts to now step in and possibly hold them in contempt. So
yeah, the judge came out pretty hard against the administration, saying that there's irreparable harm to recipients, that you're starving families, you failed to consider the harm. He then went on to say that this looked to him to be completely political, that the president was trying to use this to leverage the government closures, and that he was using it for that purpose, which is an improper purpose. And I think it's worth noting again that we're talking about 1 in 8 Americans receive some benefit from this SNAP program for feeding. I mean, we're not talking about, look, let's be realistic about this. People can live without air travel, right? I mean, it's terrible, but it would be awful, but people could live without it. People can't live without food.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly right. This is a very fundamental need. Air travel and people being able to move around and visit family or get medical treatment or conduct business, that's all important and also very critical, in my opinion. But this is food for poor people that need it the most. And these aren't people looking for handouts. Oftentimes these are children. They can't be blamed for the position that they're in. These are disabled people. These are the elderly. They can't go out and work and pull themselves up from their own bootstraps or whatever nonsense talking points people out there want to keep putting out and saying, oh, these are welfare queens, or these are people that are abusing the system. This isn't it. Just factually, objectively, that is wrong. That is total bullshit. That's not what these people are. These are people that are down and out. They're not just lazy or something like that. And to defy a court order in and of itself is just kind of crazy too.
Well, the judge said this should never happen in America.
It's a real issue. And what I was going to pivot to, Brian, is I was going to say, what is the recourse that I guess the courts or the states that are challenging what Trump's doing here, what recourse do they have if the government defies the court orders?
Well, that's a very good question. And first of all, the judge could find the USDA in contempt. Technically, you could put them in jail. I don't think that's going to happen. You could fine them. I don't think that's going to make any difference to them at all.
Right.
Fining them in contempt, probably to this administration means very little. You could actually order federal officers to go and take hold of the money and do things like that.
And do it themselves. Yeah, that's what I was thinking would be one way to do it. Seizure of the assets necessary to carry out the order and go do it through a different mechanism.
That's an important point here, Shant. We should just talk about this. Is that it isn't that the money isn't there. The money's been collected in taxes. The money's sitting there. It's just a mechanism by which to get it from point A to point B. And that's where the Trump administration's playing games.
Yeah, that's true. I guess the fact that the money's sitting there, they're totally playing games, by the way. This money is already appropriated. It's sitting there. It's not like they have to come up with it out of thin air or something. They just don't want to give it up. So, but I guess what makes it slightly easier if they go the civil contempt route is, I guess the courts would appoint someone to go in and seize the assets and do it themselves. Things like this happen. It wouldn't be the very first time. It would be the first time, I think, at this level of government, sure. But, this happens. It's a logistical nightmare and just a mess, but I think something has to be done to get this money where it's supposed to go.
Let me just point this out too very quickly, Sean, is that the administration's admitted that the funds are there. The administration's admitted that the funds are there. The administration's admitted that they have this, but at the same time, the Trump administration has repeatedly said this is a program they want to cut, which, and we've pointed this out in the past, over 50% of the recipients of this program live in Trump states, in red states that elected Trump. So once again, it's the situation where people that voted for him are now the ones that are getting hurt.
Yeah, it's disproportionately hurting his base or people that would typically fall into the demographic that supported him. So it's kind of ironic. I wonder at some point, you have to wonder, people are going to turn on him. Folks like, just the other day, Marjorie Taylor Greene was out there is totally disagreeing with this and saying that, we haven't treated these people fairly. We're doing them a disservice. We're doing these Americans a disservice. And I'm sure it's not lost on her that it's her base and people that voted for her. So she wants to go up there and stand up for her. So people might start breaking ranks with Trump over stuff like this. This might be a tipping point.
Bad week for Trump.
Yeah, it's just a bad week for Trump. But it's an interesting issue. We'll keep you up to date on what happens in terms of the ruling or if there's a contempt order that comes down and what the enforcement mechanism is going to be. It's a very interesting issue, both procedurally and politically, I think. And it's an important issue that's impacting real people. So I hope the courts, again, step in to save the day and do the right thing here. And writing's on the wall. I think that is what's going to happen. So we'll keep you posted on this. Stay tuned. Let's see what happens. I'm Shant Karnikian. That's Brian Kabateck. Another installment of Civil Action. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this content, remember to hit that subscribe button so you can subscribe to the Legal AF Network. Keep up to date with us. Share with us your feedback. Hit that like button. If you want to reach out to us, we're very nice. Even Brian's nice sometimes. So feel free to email us or contact us directly, and we'll get back to you. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.